Kia ora, and welcome to OCHO Chocolate Factory's tasting journey. Over the next little while, we will take you through the process of making chocolate from cacao beans. While you can follow along with the video, you can also be tasting the variety of chocolates, the different phases of the manufacturing process, and the different varieties. We also have some commercial comparisons so that you can truly understand the difference that making craft chocolate by hand with no additives actually makes to your chocolate experience. So we're going to start the tasting journey today with a roasted cacao bean. So these are basically how we receive them. You can see all the large sacks behind me. These are full of raw cacao beans, which we source directly from the South Pacific. The majority of the ones in the room at the moment are from Papua New Guinea, but we also have some beans from Vanuatu, and we also have some beans from the Solomon Islands. Sometimes we carry beans from Fiji and Samoa as well. It just depends on availability and shipping actually these days. So we get them raw, and then they get put into a roaster, which is almost identical, if not identical, to a coffee roaster, which many of you will have seen already. Once they are roasted, and again, roasting takes as much time as it takes, and it depends on the profile of the bean, usually around 15 to 20 minutes, then they're ready to be processed further. So what I would encourage you to do at this point is to take the cacao bean and try and break it. You should be able to break open the husk of the outside, and then what you're left with on the inside is the nib, which is what we make chocolate out of. And you can eat this. Probably won't do it on video. So the next thing that we have in your tasting journey is the roasted cacao nibs. So once the bean has been roasted, we then put it through a winnower, which is a machine that we feed in the roasted cacao beans, and the machine then takes off the husk, blows it into a big sack, and takes the nib and crunches it up. And it looks like this. And this is a very pleasant thing to use for baking, for putting on cereal. It's really quite delicious. It's fully unprocessed. It's got lots of nutrients and antioxidants and really great things without any refining or sugars or anything like that. So the third thing that you have in your tasting journey is 70% untempered Papua New Guinea. So for the chocolate to get to this stage, a couple of things have to happen between the roasted cacao nib and this chocolate. So the first thing that happens is the cacao nib is put into the refiner. The refiner takes the nib, which is actually quite crunchy and hard, as you know, because you've just tasted it, and smooths it out as much as possible into a kind of a sheet of powder, if you like. And then the second thing that happens is that the chocolate actually, in this case, gets mixed with 30% sugar, so it's 2 ingredients only, and it gets, for want of a better word, smushed between stone grinders, so to get the particle size down much, much smaller to around, depending on the chocolate, around to 12 microns is ideal, just to get that really smooth mouthfeel. So this untempered chocolate is melts at a lower temperature than tempered chocolate that you're used to trying. It kind of feels a little bit like a flake in your mouth, so try this one and see. Tastes like chocolate, but it feels a little bit different. The next one we have is a 70% tempered Papua New Guinea. So it's exactly the same chocolate that you've just tasted before, but this one has been tempered. Now, tempering is a very important part of the chocolate making process, that although chocolate has been around for a very, very long time, tempering was only discovered just over 100 years ago by accident, because it's actually quite complex. It's raising and lowering temperature to change the crystal formation of the chocolate. But what this does in practice is it makes the chocolate harder, glossier, melts at a higher temperature, so it's more portable, and it gives it that snap as well. So if you taste the samples you have here of the tempered Papua New Guinea, the taste is the same, but the mouthfeel is radically different. So the next one is a 70% chocolate this time made with a bean from Vanuatu. So the one that you've just tasted prior was beans from Papua New Guinea. These beans are from Vanuatu. Now, they're exactly the same cacao bean, but they're grown in a different location with different soil, different climatic conditions, dried in slightly different conditions. And so they taste actually quite different. And when you try this, you will notice that although it is exactly the same recipe, 70% cacao, 30% sugar, it really does taste quite different. And I liken this to wine. If you drink a Sauvignon Blanc that's grown in Marlborough and you drink a Sauvignon Blanc that was grown in Australia, you will taste the difference straight away. Exactly the same grape variety, different terroir, different climatic conditions. Cacao is exactly the same. The next one we have is another 70% chocolate, but this is a commercial comparison. So I'm not going to divulge which chocolate manufacturer this is, but you will tell as soon as you taste it that it has things in it other than cacao and sugar, which is what our chocolate is made of, the two that you've tried so far. Commercial chocolate has emulsifiers, which enables it to go through large machines without clogging them up, which of course craft chocolatiers, we don't have that luxury, and in fact that's one of the things that makes our chocolate taste, and not only taste so special, but also the mouthfeel. You can feel the differences. The other thing with commercial or industrial chocolate, as we often call it as well, is that it's made with a blend and they try to keep the flavour as similar as possible. So whereas we are celebrating the natural flavour of the bean and with a single origin, single season, they chocolate manufacturers often add, or they always add flavourings as well to give you a consistent taste and experience every time you eat their chocolate. So I think comparing it directly after trying ours, you can really feel the difference in your mouth as well. So now we're moving into our milk chocolate. Our milk chocolate is made with 48% cacao, which is significantly higher cacao percentage than most other milk chocolates that you will be familiar with. Our milk chocolate is made with 3 ingredients. It is cacao, sugar, and milk powder. We also add extra cocoa butter, and the byproduct of the cocoa butter is cocoa powder, which we also make drinking chocolate out of, which is absolutely scrumptious. So I would love you to taste our milk chocolate. It is far richer, creamier, smoother than you're probably familiar with, and it doesn't have that cloying sweet experience that a lot of the milk chocolates you're familiar with will have. The next one we have is a commercial milk chocolate, which you will probably all be familiar with. When you compare it directly after OCHO's milk chocolate, what you'll find, not only the sweetness, but again the mouthfeel is very different. I will leave this for you to experience for yourself. So now, nearing the end of the tasting journey, we're moving on to what we call our inclusion chocolate. Inclusion just means we've added things into the chocolate. So maybe flavoured chocolate might be a more familiar term. This one here is salted caramel. We make the caramel here in-house, so we have full control over the process. Then it goes into a dark chocolate base. So the caramel does make it slightly sweeter, so it's definitely one of our more popular chocolates. So I hope you enjoy it. Now the last one we have in our tasting journey today is what we call our Beekeeper chocolate. This again is another inclusion bar. What we include in this chocolate is manuka honey, bee pollen, and puffed amaranth, which is an ancient grain. It just gives it a nice texture. This chocolate is again in a 70% single origin base, and it is, I think, the closest thing to alchemy we make. So I really hope you enjoy this. Really do savour it as you let it melt on your tongue. You will notice a very strong beginning, middle, and end to this chocolate experience. And hopefully if you get a piece with enough bee pollen in it, you'll get a bit of a burst at the end, which is really quite exciting. So thank you so much for joining us on this chocolate tasting journey today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I really hope you've more of an understanding about how we make chocolate from cacao beans, and also I hope you have a better understanding of how craft chocolate differs from industrial chocolate. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us at chocolate@ocho.co.nz. And also, if you've enjoyed this, please leave us a review on the website.